Hello. Okay, here we are again. I'm super excited to be here. I have Jasmine with us, and then I have Sarah Co, which you guys are going to love her. She has so much energy and so much good stuff to share. So hopefully we can get as much out of her in the time that we have as we can. She is like the up level of yoga instructors. So she is not your Gold's yoga instructor. She's top level, and I'm super excited to have her share with us what she does. So I'm going to turn it over to Sarah for just a second, and you tell us a little bit about what you do, where you came from, how you showed up. You are here in Utah right now, but tell us a little bit about what brought you here and stuff.
So, hello everyone, I'm Sarah. I have been teaching yoga for about 10 years. I have been practicing yoga for about 20 years. I just moved out here to Utah from New Jersey. And before I came to New Jersey, I'm originally from El Salvador. So English is my second language. This is where my accent comes from because that's one of the first things that people want to know about me.
Cool. Okay, so tell us.
I didn't even catch that, like that you're from El Salvador. So Sarah and I chatted a bit, like, I don't know, was that like a week? I'm in like time space continuum. I don't even know.
Right.
But we chatted like a week ago, and we talked about so much amazing stuff. And I didn't even catch that she's from El Salvador, guys. That's how much
I
amazing.
didn't either, actually. The fact that you just were from New Jersey just meant you could also be from anywhere. So it didn't even occur to me to. I was just like.
Well, it also explains a little bit of my fire. I'm a fiery person and a very loving and warm person, and a lot of that comes from the Latin blood.
Yes.
Makes so much sense.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your journey. Like, how you said you've been doing this for 10 years. What got you in the space of doing yoga, and what does that look like? How did you get there?
So I started in my 20s, and I literally saw a sign at a church that said yoga on Sundays. And I just showed up to a class. I had really no idea what exactly I was getting into myself into. And I was kind of hooked from the minute. It just felt so good. And, you know, through the years, I was a young mother at a very young age, and, you know, coming from a different country, I got married very young, and I had a relationship that I no longer have, but I was suffering a lot at the time in my life. I was just confused, without direction, lots of things going on, trying to raise two little kids, and then at the same time find my sense of self and pay the bills and everything that we're supposed to be doing that we think it's going to bring us happiness and peace. And yoga just seemed to help. Like, I can't even explain to you why. It was just, I would practice and my mind was clear, and I would have the energy to just do whatever it was that I needed to do as a mother, as a worker, as a wife, as everything else. So that's kind of how I started. It was a little bit of just looking for balance and looking for something that would help me stop suffering, pretty much.
Interesting. Okay, so then you started as a student in it and found that it was helping you feel better. You were probably connecting, starting to make those, that body-mind connection that was just helping you feel better. At what point did you decide you wanted to turn this into your business or what you did for a living?
So I literally remember looking at myself in the mirror. At the time in my 20s, I did something called hot yoga, which is yoga in like a really hot room. Mm-hmm. And we used to practice in this like really tight, sexy clothes. And, you know, I was young and I was fiery, and this is what spoke to me. And so you would look at yourself in the mirror and it's like, oh, I look so good. And hey, that's good. If you have low self-esteem, that's a good place to start. But I had gotten to a certain place where I'm like, oh my God, like, look at me. I have actually come a long way, you know? And I remember looking at myself in the mirror and saying, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And at the time, I had no idea how I was going to do it. The training that I wanted to take was like go away for 30 days somewhere. And of course, I have two little kids and a corporate job. I can't just drop my life for 30 days. And it just seemed so impossible. But while all of this was going on, I met another teacher, my Reiki master teacher, because I'm also an energy healer. And she encouraged me to just take any yoga teacher training that I could take, you know, at the local studio or wherever, even if it wasn't this 30-day getaway that I had in my head was supposed to happen. And so that's when I started. And it was really, truly a blessing because it changed me and my yoga practice from this crazy hot yoga that served me very well for many years, but it allowed me to just evolve. And it was through that evolution that I then just became the teacher that I am now and studied many, many different lineages. So I've gotten certified in like 5-6 different methodologies of yoga and lineages and traditions. And so that's kind of how I started. It was a passion. It was something that really just gave me a purpose in life to share what yoga had done for me with others.
Cool.
So I think that's something that's really fun about you as compared to Carrie and I is that you have a little more of like that fire energy. Carrie and I are a little more like quiet and more feminine in that way. And you are much more like fire and like bam. Tell me how we have been talking in the last two interviews about these people who went from like masculine career fields. You talked a second about how you had a corporate job and then you transitioned into this like slower paced life of having your own business. How did you do that? How energetically did that feel for you to kind of make that switch?
Oh, so that's an interesting question, right? Because everything evolves. Just like with everything in life, you live, you learn, you grow. So to answer that question, let me take you back. I had this corporate job. I wanted to teach. So now I can't quit my job because I got to pay the bills. So I start to do like side gigs, teaching a few classes per weekend, a few classes at night after work, and still juggling everything else. So at that point in my life, I'm going to say, okay, no, it wasn't slowing down. It was actually double trouble, right? Because now I'm trying to do double the load. And then eventually I just said, okay, I'm really good at this. I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to just start teaching anywhere that they'll hire me. And so I started to go from studio to studio. I used to go to people's houses and drive around all day. And, you know, at some point I was teaching like 15, 20 plus classes per week. So I wasn't there yet. I was still using that fire to build and hustle and, you know, teach as many classes as I could and as many students as I could. And sooner or later, I started to feel like the urge, like to trust myself. I think a lot of the times the reason that we overdo is because we're trying to prove something, because we're insecure and we don't trust, you know, our value. And so, and you have to go through the gates. Like first you have to get past the fear. You have to give it a try. You have to get out there. And then once you get to that place of confidence, then you can say, okay, let me open up my own studio. So I stopped running around all over town, driving 2 hours per day. And it was then that it actually became feasible to me to actually like slow down. And now I manage my schedule. I give myself 30 minutes in between clients. I give myself 2 hours in between of the day to have lunch, to go for a walk. Because usually I'm teaching from 7 a.m. to like 8 p.m., right? If you do that nonstop, that's not healthy. And that's just the nature of the schedule of teaching, you know, because that's when people have time to do yoga. But I need to take care of myself in the middle of the day. And so I make sure that I go for a little walk, get some fresh air, make sure I have my snacks and everything and stay grounded. So it has been an evolution process. As you learn what doesn't work and as you evolve and you learn like what it feels like to run and what it feels like to slow down, you begin to crave the slow pace a little bit more. You could still have that fire and use it for whatever it is, but you could do it in a more managed, like grounded way.
I really love, like you just hit on like all of the things that we have been talking about for like Carrie and I are so on this, like on this topic and people, because Corona has sort of made us all do that. It's sort of made us all stop And because we can't do all the hustle and bustle. And so I'm really, yeah, I just love asking people that question because everyone kind of answers. But most of the people that we've talked to have been like, they kind of are slower pace energy people. So I was interested to see you because you are a more fire person, and we'll get into personalities later on in life. But for now, just that basic version of it, which I think is so
think
cool.
it takes extra discipline because I could just keep going if I wanted to, and I have to make myself stop.
Yes. And that is a big thing that for fire people, I think is really, or like more masculine energy people, it is really hard for them to stop and say, okay, I can take a break now. I can rest. I don't need to run around frantic like a chicken with my head cut off all the time, hustling from this to this to this to this to this, to this, because I can slow down and I can also make that work. And I think that is just the lesson that someone who has like fire masculine energy has to learn, that they can come down off of it, and it is okay, and it does not mean that you are lazy.
Yeah, it's a learned skill. Like you say, it's something you have to learn. It's a learned skill. So you have to put your heart to it and like make yourself do it and learn how to do it and learn how to be comfortable with it. Because at first it's going to be uncomfortable. You sit, you stop, and you fidget.
Yeah. 100%. So that being said, what are some like, I know you have learned so much, and there's like, you probably could pick a million of your most like big lessons that you've learned. But for someone thinking of the mind of someone who is just kind of starting, what is the biggest thing that you learned at the beginning of your practice that you wish you had learned a little earlier?
Oh, that's so what I learned, that what I know now that I wish I had learned earlier.
Yes.
Is that the question? Yes. I wish I had picked a teacher and stuck with it. Because I used to, again, I'm certified in 5 different lineages of yoga. I have trained in and each of them I did for many, many years. And when I look back, a lot of it might have been unnecessary because very early on, I had already found my teacher, my Reiki master teacher who trained me to do energy healing and holistic life coaching, and who really encouraged me to transform my entire life. That is having that anchor for over 11 years now of someone who knows you and gets to know you and really helps you and knows where your weaknesses are and can guide you and show you and act as a mirror through your evolution. That is one of the most precious things. So if I have an advice for, and it doesn't have to be, it has to be someone who resonates with you. So you have to find the teacher that is right for you. And oftentimes that might be a little uncomfortable because if they're for real, they're going to get you out of your comfort zone and they're going to help you grow. And it's very tempting to try and run away and find another method. So you'll try Qigong for a while and yoga for a while, and meditation for a while. And in my case, 5 different yoga traditions for a while. And the whole time I had that anchor of my Reiki master teacher that was really, but I wouldn't surrender to it. You know, I still had that curiosity. So I would say if you find someone that you can trust, stick with it for as long as, and I'm not saying that one teacher is going to serve you for 11 years. That's not the case for everyone, but you got to give it a good try. You got to give it at least a year. You know, if you're lucky, at least 3 years, because the path that we're on takes time and repetition and patience and consistency. And having a teacher, it doesn't matter what the modality is, and it doesn't matter what level or method they use, if you can surrender and follow in a very methodical and patient way, and when you get uncomfortable, don't run away to try something else, but try and stick with the practice, you will get a lot more benefits than you hop around like I did for so many years.
That's well, and I think that's like a lesson for, sorry, Carrie, I think that's the lesson that you have to learn as like a masculine energy person. Like hopping around from thing to thing isn't going to serve you really well. Sorry, Carrie.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna say that's super good advice, because also we live in a world with so much noise and so many people saying, I can help you, I can help you, I can help you. So finding that person, that method, that whatever it is that speaks to you and calms your spirit, calms your soul, and can help you grow. That's huge. I love that. I love that lesson. I'm curious, so how, in looking at how you've evolved, and I know that part of what you do as a teacher is not just traditional yoga poses and taking people through a workout. That's not the kind of yoga that you teach anymore, right?
Correct.
And you teach, you had told me that when you are with a bulk of your clients, you teach the yoga and then you also teach lessons. Is that right? Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
A certain series of lessons. Okay.
Yeah.
So as you've learned those lessons, what do you see having changed in you taking on the spiritual aspect of all the things that you've learned?
So, yoga is really cool because it's a systematic way towards awakening. It literally gives us a method. There's 8 limbs, there's 9 obstacles. And if you know what the practices are that you're supposed to be doing, and if you understand how the mind works, and then you also understand the obstacles that you're going to encounter along the way, you don't lose hope almost, because the path of spirituality is not easy. It's going to require a lot of work and dedication and self-introspection, and you will hit blocks along the way. And if we understand from the beginning that is to be expected, when you hit those blocks and those obstacles and you're stuck for a little while, you don't lose hope, you don't despair. So one of the biggest things that I, live and train and teach is just stick with it. Just practice and keep going. Practice and keep going. Practice and keep going. It is not an immediate gratification, like great results right away. You might feel really good after your practice, but it's going to be temporary because you can't sustain that vibration just yet. You have to practice again, and you have to practice again until you learn to sustain that awakened, conscious, calm state. And so if you know that the fallbacks and the regressions are part of the process and you don't lose hope, then you just keep practicing and you keep going and you keep trying. And with time, you'll be surprised at how much progress you make in the long run. But this is not something that you're going to catch. And one of the things that people really struggle with is they will catch just glimpses of these really awakened, calm states, like, oh my God, I got it, I'm there, like, thank God I've made it. And then the week after, it's gone. And you don't know how you lost it, and you don't know how to get back there. You just go, and that could be a little bit like this, it's just, you despair. You're like, oh, I'm trying so hard.
It's so insane. And I think a lot of people, like what you're talking about, this happens to everyone, and everyone who's starting this meditation practice and this mindfulness practice and this awakening and all these things that we're talking about. I always try to tell them, hey guys, it is not rainbows and kittens all the time, but I promise you, if you stay on this path, you will get through, and you will start to enjoy times like the void, and you will enjoy times like the purge, where you can just get rid of this old you and you can shed it all and you can recreate yourself. And I think that's the part that's so awesome about having a coach or a yoga practice or a meditation practice in a group, because you have people, you have your support system, and you have these people who are going through or have been through what you're doing, because they know, and they did it, and they made it through the void, and they made it through these dark nights and these times that are hard, and they came out and they're like so happy that they did it. And it's just, yeah.
You need 3 things. You need a practice. It doesn't matter what it is: qigong, meditation, martial arts. It could be actually like devotion and spirituality. If that's your practice, you need a method, something that makes it real, that you show up to every day or every week or whenever. You need a teacher that actually can lead the way and has been through some of those gates ahead of you, and can actually, someone you can follow and learn from. And you need a community. You need to know that you are not alone, and you need that support system. And so the community and the teacher act as a mirror and as accountability, really, because you're going to say you're going to do something, and then the community is expecting you to show up for yourself, and you're expecting your other fellow students to show up for themselves as well. So you're absolutely right. It's not like it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to help you awaken as well.
That's so funny, because I was just thinking that same thing. I'm like, how many of us as new moms were like always wanting to talk to somebody else to be validated and bounce things off, because this is a whole new thing. Like, tell me how you got through this, or how'd you do this, or tips for that, or whatever. And it's very similar. Just like as you were saying that, I was like, yes, like that's what our communities are about, is you're going through this new thing, and you know what, your best friends might not be going through it with you, and your spouse might not be going through it with you. So by being in a community of people who are doing it, that's where you can see that, you know, have that mirror and get the feedback and the encouragement to keep going, or yeah, I had that happen too. And that's so valuable.
Yeah, because oftentimes when you start on this journey, you start to think you're crazy. And if you're lucky enough to know that you're not crazy, the people around you certainly think you're crazy, right? So you're fighting on two ends. First, if you have gotten past that place but at first you might question whether you're crazy or not. And then let's say that you're already that and like, you know better, right? You still need to know how to cope with the people who think you're crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's like generally we do not go through like and get into this like spiritual awakening state and this like whatever, I don't know what else to call it, like just this thing, this big thing. We don't do that generally with our friends. Like I mean, maybe you're lucky enough for that to have happened for you, but most of the time that is not the case. And you kind of have to look on. I know for me, no one else that was in my friend group before this for me is going through what I'm going through now. Some of them are starting at the very beginning and they're asking me for advice now. And thankfully they have that. But when I was going through this, no, there was not anyone who was kind of doing the same thing that I was doing. And yeah, it is like you said, you kind of do start to feel like maybe I'm crazy. Maybe they're like, so you listen to a little pendulum? Yes, I do. Yes, I do listen to a pendulum because it's such a bigger thing. It's more than just that. Yeah.
And you're listening to your intuition and you're using the pendulum as a tool. So you're listening to your own inner self and intuition. And I like the way you guys put it, like I'm going through something. And I will say you are being reborn, you're awakening. And yes, you're right. Whenever you are growing, let's call it that. When you go through this growth process is what we should be calling it. It is difficult, just like when you're growing as a little kid and your bones hurt, and when you're growing as an adult and you have to learn some tough lessons. This awakening is a growing process. It's little by little. And the beautiful thing is, once the process has begun, it can't really be undone. A part of you will always know. You will always be conscious at some level. Okay, if you go back to the drinking and you go back to, the things you used to do to numb yourself, you might lose it for a while. But a part of you will still remember what that consciousness was like, and will continuously search for it. And so the best thing you could do is surrender to that urge and find a practice, find a teacher, find a community that you can nurture that part of yourself through. Because you have, just like we have a little good angel on one side and a not so good one on the other, it's just, what do you feed? Do you feed the part of you that's dysfunctional? Do you feed the part of you that likes to sit on the couch and overeat and do the stuff that you know how to do and it's very comfortable? Or do you feed the part of yourself that you have to stop, you have to unplug, you have to breathe, you have to feel? It could be uncomfortable, it could be tough, but a part of you is calling you to do that. So can you respect that part of you, and can you nurture it and feed it just as much as you feed all the other parts of you? And I think a community, again, a teacher helps you do that, because it becomes, it's in Buddhism, they call them a Sangha, Saghsangha. Yes, which is a community that helps you nurture that part of yourself.
Yes.
And so when you're looking for that, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for a community that can relate to that part of you.
Yes. I love that. Where we have our community, I also am part of a Sangha that I love, and it allows me to show up as a student, drop my guard, and just learn and just soak in all the spirit, all the stuff, and like come to, like, I hear, like, I don't know, I get messages. I just love it. I feel so comfortable there for the hour and a half that I spend in that group. I love it. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
So tell everybody just a little bit about some of the programs and what you do specifically.
Okay, so I kind of work with anyone depending on the level they're at. So I do private yoga for those students who cannot go to yoga studios. So anyone with back pain, neck pain, maybe low stamina levels, or they just need individual attention for injuries, or maybe they're athletes and they play some sort of sport, tennis, golf, and they need like a practice for their specific needs. I work one-on-one. Then I have some small semi-private group classes. I only have 2 group classes a week, on Thursdays at 6 and on Sundays at 9 Mountain Time. And then for those who are ready to go to the next level, I have a 9-month yoga teacher training certification program. And for those who are really above and have gotten certified on a modality in holistic arts, whether it's massage therapy, nutrition, energy healing, I have a mentorship program, because I've been doing this as a career for over 10 years now. So I've tried many things. I know what works and I know what doesn't. And so I love helping holistic practitioners like get to the next level and help their students and serve them better as well. So those are kind of like the 4 levels: private yoga, group yoga, yoga certification, and mentorship for those who are ready.
Cool. Okay, so where's the easiest place? Where do people find you?
So the easiest place is my website, which is sarahyogaandwellness.com. And
Sarah with an H?
Yes,
Sarah
Sarah with an H, yoga and spelled out, sarahyogaandwellness.com. And everything you need to know about me, bio, prices, dates, everything is in there. And I also have an awesome list of resources in that website. So if you go to the last tab, I have yoga apps, meditation apps. I have links to your Facebook groups, to Jasmine's website, so people can find you there through that resource page, and also to books and things that, you know, I think might be helpful for beginners. So that's a great resource as well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, your website is so awesome. I checked it out when you sent it to me, like whatever, last week ago. Back yonder. She does so much stuff, and she's so cool. This is not going to be the last time that you see Sarah on her page. We are probably going to steal her more often and get her chatting with us just about different things. But this is just kind of an introduction to her and an introduction to all of this amazingness from someone who's been doing it for a really, really long time and in like a billion modalities, some of which I've never even heard of.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for an introduction, I think Jasmine's right. I know that there's like, I think we've just barely scratched the surface of what Sarah has to share. So hopefully we can connect again in a little bit and like go deeper on a subject, something like that. So awesome. Do you have anything else you would want to share with everybody, or do you feel like that's a good introduction of you?
I think I send you light and love to anyone watching this. Follow your heart, nurture that part of yourself that wants to awaken. Find a practice, find a teacher, find a community, and just go for it. You won't regret it. You will be so grateful. And enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey. It's just a never-ending process of awakening and transformation. That's what we're here to do as human beings. We just need to get started wherever you are.
I love that. I love that. Enjoying the journey is, I feel like that's the difference between where I am now and where I was 5 years ago in a different industry, is that now, today, every day, I enjoy the journey. I enjoy doing things like this, meeting amazing people like you, doing this stuff. Mm-hmm. So I love that. That's awesome. Awesome ending advice. Do you have anything else, Jasmine?
No, I'm good. I just am excited for you guys to listen to this. I definitely want to hear your comments, any thoughts, any questions that you had for Carrie, me, or even Sarah in the comments. And we will make sure that they get answered, because this is the beginning journey. This is the beginning of your journey. And thankfully, you guys have already found a community to help you with that. And now we just got to get you going.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, ladies. Okay. Have an awesome
guys.
afternoon. Okay. See you guys.